we've got our first event results. There were two 1Ks yesterday. One of them was in Iowa, and it was 30 players. Boba Yellow swept Swiss, but Green Palp by Mickey D, one of our Patreon subscribers, took it down with Green Palp,
That's what we
beating
love to
Blue
see, boys.
Boba in the
Is that your list,
quarterfinals.
man?
No, he was working with a few people in that thread. He's been pretty active playing Palp since day one. So we've spitballed. Pakari in the Discord has also been spitballing. So it's been really a good collaboration. But this is all him, baby.
Yeah, I got this image. He shouted out. If you look at the bottom, he shouted out Pakari and our thread. If you don't know, the Discord Patreon Discord has threads for basically every deck. And I didn't even know I'm sure I knew it existed, but I've never been in the Green Palp thread.
Well,
There's just a million.
Come on down, baby.
That's the thing with the Discords. I feel like we kind of own various channels. Like Maddie, you own this one. You've had Iden for a while, and Mike, you're in the yellow one. Green Sabine is it's it's stressful at times to manage it because the volume of it so much, and it's one of the most popular decks. But I feel like I check that every day and provide feedback.
Yeah, and it cycles. Sometimes I'm into a different deck, so I'm hanging out in that channel, and I have some other ones muted. So, anything shocking about this top 8 before we delve a little bit deeper into that, Palp?
I found that set 1, Yellow Boba, if they played a certain line, was really hard for Palp. But maybe with set 2, there's a little more resilience. I found certain matchups have changed. So that was interesting. I'm so pumped that he took it down in the face of kind of I wouldn't say it's as unfavorable as it used to be, but that's not an easy matchup. It's definitely not a slam dunk for Palp.
I'd say this surprise for me is 0 Green Boba. I actually really like Green Boba right now, and I think it's, even though as the meta evolved in set 1, you saw it did have bad matchups at first. That very first London event, it was top 8 Green Bobas or whatever. And the meta evolved to be able to have some good angles, but it was still the boogeyman of pretty much the whole season. So to see 0 copies seems a little surprising, but again, only 30 people. So
yeah, but otherwise, this is a pretty. Obviously, you got 8 different leader-based combinations, and Tarkin Yellow, normally an outlier, but has gained a lot of popularity in the last few weeks. So it's makes sense that someone's going to be on that. But yeah, I think this is a pretty widespread.
7 out of 8.
I'm surprised
two
there's only
two
one triple dark raid deck in the top 8, to be honest, because I feel like, at least in the Discord, a lot of the chat lately has been how great that card is. And to only see one deck actually make it there is pretty telling, I think.
yeah, so Mike and I were loving it, and then I think one thing that's happening with that deck is there is sort of a psychological way to you can gain value playing against it just knowing it exists. It just it had value to just completely blowing people out when they'd be like, oh, you're Phantom, okay, whatever, and then you'd end up stacking counters on it and stacking it, and then you just win out of nowhere. Now I feel the blue decks aren't going to be resourcing, make an opening ever against you. They're going to maybe
Right.
and save a ship. They're going to think, wait a second, I need to have my ship ready for the ECL target. So we noticed in playing a lot of Red Boba with Triple Dark Raid that it's not quite as adept. It's not even that people are hating it out. It's that if you just sort of recognize you need to stop that plan from your opening hand, it does become an easier deck to beat.
And that's a good point of paying attention to how things are winning and why, because we saw it with early in any set, everyone plays the one deck because they think this matchup works a certain way, but once you find the line that you need, things can really flip. So that's why whenever I hear about results, I ask how people were winning and what was happening, so you can find different lines to try to flip that matchup or whatever. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Along those lines too, I don't know if you have a slide for it or not, Mike, but I noticed in the OP, the organized play announcements, they're changing it so there's no open deck list for the open portion of the events.
Yeah, I debated on whether or not we were going to talk about that stuff, but it's kind of a couple weeks old now, and I figured plenty of other people have. But yeah, no open deck list for Swiss.
I think that's actually a pretty big shift. That's something
a lot.
Major impact. It also means that now all your testing data is actually real data.
Yeah, exactly. You can
year
actually
for,
hide
the
things.
whole entirety of the game. It's like, oh, I got a deck, I want to try it. Okay, cool. And then you don't actually know the list beforehand, which
Yeah.
up until 2 weeks ago you did. But now it allows you to like play on Carablast and actually like get real results.
Also, like, just give me a couple minutes of my life back. Like, I don't need to see your
Yeah.
list in round one,
I
man.
mean, I
Let's
think
just get
it'll make tournaments go a lot smoother too.
Yeah. It's also a Matty buff, right? I won't get DQ'd.
Oh my god, that's
For
true.
fucking up, yeah.
The only one that can beat Maddie is Maddie.
That's amazing.
All right, let's take a look at this Palp list. A couple new inclusions: the Scanning Officer, Salacious Crumb, the Enterprising Lackeys, the unkillable 4 cost 5/5. Thinker, and the 3 cost
Black
Sentinels.
Sun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Black Sun and
Yeah.
the Phase 3 Dark Trooper. But Maul in the board, Palp's Return in the board, Fell the Dragon in the board, paying 6 for that.
Yeah, he talked about having answers to crate, and so he liked Fell there. And like other stuff like Wreckers and Pose and stuff like that. And then the Maul was just to make sure you can take out 7 health leaders, which makes complete sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean this list looks good. It's got a great top end. Relentless for the other control decks, Devastator, 2 traders for the seven fleet, the Phantom Tie.
Yeah, Lurking Tie or these Tarkin decks.
Yep, I really
One
like
thing
traders.
I'm playing 2 in mine right now.
Yeah,
the one thing like I was a big proponent of early, and it's like the phase troopers and ERG, just to make sure you're always like having sentinels. I've kind of cut down on mine as I test things out, but I like that he went with this plan, especially early in the meta. You might be seeing more Sabine, and the thing that I talked about when I played Vader and other things is like runner sentinels is the best way to kind of stonewall those plans. So I like that he went with that.
Yeah,
the only card I don't understand is the 2/1 tie that puts a counter.
So I was gonna say I like that because I think it's for the Sentinels. To buff them, and then you sack it with Palp, so you actually get some value. It's only cost 2, you get some value. So I think it's mainly for that. I think like you could probably buff anything if it's convenient, but a lot of times for the Sentinels. And the tie LN is probably a concession to the Phantom, because like you can just drop a tie turn 1 and they can't drop the Phantom unless they deal with it, which is like really good value for 1. Even though I kind of like the one that draws a ship, the 1/1 that draws a card, I would prefer it. But in a tie Phantom meta, I think like the LN is pretty reasonable.
tie Phantom too. That's a good point.
Yeah. LN's also like a good late game cycle, to get a ping. Like I think that's why Crumb's in there as well. But like later in the game, like playing something for 1 and pinging, for the other one is way easier than trying to sack a
I know. I just like it with the draw card one. I can't think of its name at the top of my head, but
being able to do it
patrolling craft or whatever.
Always having to do a 3-drop.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really like this list. Like I think like the I'm like most of my testing is on aggro, and then like people in the tournament testing team will be like, this deck's really good, and it's like not aggro. And I like the blue Boba that I played the other night on our feature match, Mike. Like, I don't totally feel comfortable because it's like you're in this sort of middle ground and you're trying to get to the late game. Like this deck is not playing any games. Like it knows what it's doing. It's ramping to the end. It's not trying to get like a restock vigilance loop or anything like that. Like it has these huge guys at the top. It's got sentinels at the bottom. It's trying to get beefy. And it's like I think pretty decent against control too, which is pretty cool.
Say tested it,
Yeah, I tested it, and it's definitely pretty good. Hold its own.
Yeah, I mean, when you ramp into Relentless against control, that's nice. We used to be playing 3 when we got like a crazy control meta. That was pretty funny. But yeah, this deck is sweet.
Devastator is one of the most fun cards to play too. Like just playing that card, shooting something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially with Piet.
Yeah, Piet. Did the ambush overwhelm?
Like, I mean, obviously, like Walker Piet's a win con, but like, man, sometimes with that overwhelmed ship, you just finish them off. It's pretty nice.
All right. Anything else before we move on to the other event? Oh, they did a giant check, Justin. I figured you'd get a kick out of that. You're a big giant check fan.
Oh man, I love the giant check.
Yeah. So shout out to Mac who took it down. So, and then there was another event. This one was streamed on the Take the Initiative YouTube. If you want to go check that out, I'm sure the VOD is there since it was on YouTube. So we get to watch the whole tournament and four Monobobas in the top 8, and including taking it down versus Old Han.
Yeah,
Do we
those
know how many
leaders
people were in this one?
are not in the top 8, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it was 20.
Okay. So again, another small sample size, but people, I mean, Yellow got a lot of tools, and people are really liking Monoboba right now, and it makes sense.
Bobby Sapphire is still defining the meta months later.
It's happening. Let's take a look at that list.
Yeah.
A lot of new additions here. You get the Bazine, you get the Merc gunship. Still a shoot first, which I like. Has one lurking tie, one relentless pursuit. I really like one relentless pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, pretty standard. Got the Gammo
Yeah.
guards, the switch to the Syndicate lackeys.
Yeah, switch to the
I think
lackey.
Syndicate's a good call, especially with the new rule.
I like the one phantom tie there. Like, if you draw it, it makes people like kind of play weird. You've got like an interesting angle there. That's kind of nifty. I like that
Because you can't have too many 3-cost ships, right? But like you do want another option.
Yeah, there's just so many 3-cost cards.
Yeah, it's tough.
I dig it.
No, this is cool looking. This looks good.
Yep, Zuckuss and Forlom in the board. Got the Boba armor in the board, which I really like. A final showdown in the board, which
That's
I
hot.
love. I wonder if the winner is a subscriber, because I've had one of Final Showdown in my board posted for a while. Obviously, it's anyone can come up with that, but most people are pretty down on that card. But I think it's pretty cheeky against Control to just try and steal a game if it works out.
Especially in the no open deck list life.
Right.
I
like
love
the
the
game was
Forlom.
made in the Forlom the board, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Relentless Pursuit, are you just always using it with Boba? Because that's kind of how I've played it.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do others, but like I feel like that's such a
I think
good,
unless
like-
you're really in a jam, like
Yeah.
if they throw a Darksaber on Poe or something, you're
Yeah.
gonna fire it off.
It's not-
But otherwise,
It's not
yeah.
terrible on like 3-cost Boba, like, giving the shield and then like letting him kind of like really go to work, especially like post board if you've got the armor too on him and like they're not a bounce deck or something.
Oh, right. You can just put it on him.
And also
it's like
fine on
inch.
the defender too, which already has a shield. So like you're kind of getting the value there. You don't need it to have a shield.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's already protected. Gotcha.
But I think most
And
of the time
giving
you're
it-
looking for Boba.
Yeah, and giving the shield to then set up your cunning, right? Because like getting rid of a shielded guy is like hard for a lot of people. I like that. I was running 2, but I wasn't really pairing it that way. But I like the 1-1 split because sometimes it's just kind of dead.
But yeah, I like all the stock list callouts to probe droids. Like it's just still got all the old stuff and then just made some room for new stuff.
Yeah, 13 turn 1 plays is cool too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the biggest surprise to me is no McClunky. We had so much talked about that when it was first spoiled, the card for Boba.
Yeah, we found that it's tough. You don't like it takes guys off the board where you want to just be pushing.
Yeah.
Is the hardest part. Like it's nice when you have Greedo, but a lot of times Greedo isn't living in the current meta because so many things ping.
Yeah. I also wonder too, like it's good against like something like Sabine, but theoretically you were never really having as much of an issue there. So like, why do you bring it in?
Yeah, it's good against the 3/3 Sentinels, but I don't know how prevalent they are in the meta. But I like McClunky as a sideboard card for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's good against bounties too.
Yep. Yeah. If we see a rise in bounties, you see a rise in McClunky for sure.
Yeah, just a good deck though. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right, and then a wild Han deck runner-up. A lot of
This
2-ups
is hot.
here.
Whoa.
Kira, Sundari Peacekeeper, DJ Tech, Bright Hope is a 2. I would personally run that as a 3. Spark of Hope is a 2. I think that should be a 3.
Wow.
Only one
wow.
Cloud Rider and 3 Greedos. So, yeah, pretty wild list to make the finals. A lot of everything.
Yeah, a lot of everything. You don't oftentimes see the 2-up Battlefield Marine index.
Yeah, I mean, I did a Han video last week, and I've been playing a little bit of Han, and I really am just high on the Cloud Rider in that situation. Like, just get the 3 damage in, ideally kill something and move on. This is a lot of low drops.
Yeah.
Probably like
yeah.
maximizing U-Wing, I guess, and like not getting too much into it, but then you can still like have your numbers right for U-Wing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, I feel like some of the utility cards you'd want the 2-ofs, and you'd want 3 Battlefield Marine because it's just like the most consistent, best play you can be doing on with 2 resources. But yeah, that's the only thing I've seen is like when I play U-Wing decks, I have weird funky numbers on like I'll main deck 1 Akbar and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like playing the 1-ofs works. It's just all the 2-ofs
Yeah.
are just kind of weird, and all the low drops are kind of weird. But I love
Yeah.
the Luke Skywalker for the
Yeah, I
free
like
off
that a lot.
U-Wing, or 9 if you get to 9. I like Marauder quite a bit. It kills basically everything in space. You can do it a turn earlier with Han if you need to, and it can ramp you, which is another reason why I don't like all these inconsistent numbers, because I would rather just have a bunch of the same stuff so that I could trigger my Marauder.
I think one of the reasons possibly with the 2 on the Battlefield Marine is I've been trying to do a Han list where you play almost no 2 drops, because like the power level of the 3 drops in this set have just spiked so much. Like you have so many better 3/5s now. Like your turn 1 play, if you can drop one of those, it's always just gonna outclass playing your 3/3 2 drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
like that.
combo soft though, 2 of those, which is interesting.
Yeah, like if I'm playing Han, I think my turn 1 I always want to be dropping the 3 drop, especially if possible.
Are you playing Ezra? Because this isn't, but which is
I was
interesting.
playing Ezra. Like the list, I haven't really gotten far with what I've been doing.
Yeah.
But what I've been trying to do is just play no 2 drops. Like turn 1 is always a 3 drop.
Yeah.
Whether it be the Falcon, Ezra, DJ.
Yeah, I like Ezra because you kind of get that card advantage back, but you run out of cards pretty quick when you're doing it a lot. But yeah, I don't hate it.
Well, it kind of works in the 3-drop plan, right? If you have a ton of 3 drops, because then
then you don't have to do it the following turn.
Yeah,
yeah, that was the idea. Like 3 drop turn 1, 3 drop turn 2.
Yeah,
and then on turn 4 you can go to 5. Like the list I was playing had almost 0 4 drops in it.
Interesting.
And 0
2
2 drops.
I like this list. Other than some of the things we pointed out, like I like the game plan. I'd like to say like playing things like Spark with Kira to kind of like set up and protect your Han.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like be on the game plan, and then like, or if you have a shot at doing the Tech DJ combo, like that's another way to like protect that. So other than like kind of nitpicking the numbers a little bit, I think this is like a really cool list, and I like some of the inclusions there.
Cool.
Han's still good.
All right, so we're gonna talk so we've got 2 cash events, and then I asked everyone to do their predictions for the top 8 SCG Baltimore coming up this weekend. The first SCG, which should be a monthly cash event on the SCG, the Star City Games circuit. So we'll just fire these off, and Steve, you're up first. Your prediction was Kira, green Boba, 2 red Rey, 2 green Sabine, yellow Boba, green Han.
Yeah. Like so I did this last night, and then looking through the slides before the pod we started up today, I was like, oh man, there's so many yellow Bobas. Like maybe like green Boba is just dead. But I think there's too many tools now to like not try to expand a little bit. And my hope is that for this tournament, people are going to try some new things while still falling back on the old. Like I think Sabine, while it's not probably one of the best top 3 decks in the meta right now, it still has that ability to just like not draw and just win out. So I think if enough people play that, one of those will sneak in. I really do like the Han green version, but I don't know.
Would you make any changes after going through the last 2 events?
There's only 6 up here, right? Didn't I have?
No, you have 2 Rey, 2
doubles.
Sabine. I have a couple doubled up.
2 Reys and 2 Sabines. Oh, I'd probably slot an Emperor green in there
instead of what, like a Rey?
Yeah, probably instead of one of the Reys or instead of one of the Sabines.
Cool. Mine was similar then. I had 1 Bosk. Wait, is this mine, or did I do?
Oh no, yeah, dude. I just looked at my DM. That wasn't my picks.
No, did I reverse them? I think that was mine. Is this one yours?
That one's mine.
Yeah. Okay. I did the names wrong.
That's why I was a little confused trying to improvise.
Because you said that's funny.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, you did good improv.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not cutting this.
I labeled them wrong. No, for sure. I can't fix it. Yeah, so all right, so this is yours. I guess like
No,
since we looked at the previous slide, mine, I would probably cut one of the rays for one of the yellow bobas, but otherwise, like I think it's pretty like accurate representation of what I just expect the meta to be, and rise to the top. But usually one outlier. I just didn't make a bold claim on the outlier. All right, so this is yours. You had two Kira,
Ooh.
Vader, Palp, Red Han, Green Han, Green Bosk, Green Boba, and Red Ray. All green bases, all ECL bases except for the Red
Right.
Ray.
yeah. Yeah, like I think I obviously don't play as much constructed as the rest of you guys, but from reading all of like the tournament testing team chats, I really think there's a lot of room for new decks that people haven't seen, and I think people may not have necessarily played it this past weekend because they're just 1Ks. But I think if people are definitely gonna be trying something new for Star City games, and then hopefully we get some spiciness out of it.
Nice. All right, so hopefully I get this one right. And this is Maddie's. Maddie, you had a Vader in yours, right?
Yeah, let me double check the work, double check the DMs. No, but yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
yours.
I think like two things are going to happen at any like big event. Like people are going to try new stuff because it's new and exciting, and that's why I have two Sabines in there. I think there are going to be Sabines that just hit the right matchups, hit some of these control decks that are trying to go big, or hit some of the the sea of randomness and just steamroll people. I think her demise is a little overstated, but I don't think she has like the stronghold that she once had. And then yeah, like I think Boba leader is just so cracked that like you can play him any which
Yeah, you
way.
have one of every, the yellow, the
Yeah,
green. Actually, for
yeah,
the
I think
audio listeners, I should just say Maddie's
yeah, yeah,
pick was
yep.
one blue Boba, one green Boba, one yellow Boba, two green Sabine, one green Kira, one green Palp, and one green Darth Vader.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
got the borders. It's a little hard to see, but if we point them there, I
for
think they'll.
watching,
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's for people that are just listening.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah,
Okay.
like you can play Boba any which way. I think that I think seeing the results, I think people are going to be thinking that Boba yellow is the deck to beat, and so playing things like Vader and blue Boba, and even
Palp.
green. I know, yeah, Palp to kind of combat that. And then just like I'm surprised we haven't seen a Kira yet. I think she's like just such a strong upgrade over the blue green archetype that we had in set one. Like in set one, you had to either go Krennic and try to like play this ECL game, or you'd go Iden and try to kind of like go a little bigger. Now, like you just like Kira just does it better than both. She deploys on 5. She can kind of match other leaders. So that's kind of one that I'm not out on a limb on because I think you guys are also seeing it, but that's one that I expect to rise in popularity.
Cool. And then we got Justin's. Justin has the Soul Cad. He picked Cad with blue, Kira green, two green Bobas, two green Sabines, a green Palp, and a yellow Boba.
Yeah, I really think that Green Boba is going to kind of make its mark the next couple of weeks. I think it's really strong. I think we'll start seeing some lists. The thing is, we haven't seen like a list to sort of go on, but some of the lists that I've seen we've been working on are really strong. CAD Blue is kind of like a weird one here. I just think there's something there with the ping and sort of like that control variation, but also being able to play a lot of units. One of the issues that I have with Blue Boba is like the units. You don't really have a ton, and CAD gets to play a lot of units and maybe even playing like Zuckuss and Forlom, and like those guys are attacking, or Forloms are essentially doing 5 damage, not just 4. I like a lot of the things that are happening there. I also have the Kira. I think kind of what Maddie said. I think Kira's really, really strong. I think the green ramping Palpatine's really good. If I had to switch it based on like what I saw, maybe I'd go a second yellow Boba and just one green Boba,
Mm-hmm.
just because people are kind of leaning towards yellow Boba right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bobas get a lot of tools in the new set, like the green ones. With you've got Maul to look at now. You've got commissions are
Commission.
really
Yeah,
are that's
commission's so good.
so good, and I just definitely think we'll see a rise there with green Boba.
That's the interesting thing about this too. It's like, what do we think is good, but then what do we think people are gonna play? How are they
Right.
gonna interpret? So there's a lot of like moving parts here. Which makes it fun. Like that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit this next week pre-Gen Con
Yeah.
to see if we nailed it.
Yeah, we can do a lot of reaction content to our own
Cool.
content.
So that was our meta discussion, both checking out this weekend's events and predicting next weekend's events, and then then we'll have to see at Gen Con what happens next.